Oh, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Ericka from the Classy Climb blog. I want to call this video "The Boomer Wealth Transfer is going to be a giant disappointment." I know, coming in hard. Sorry, have to. I did a video a few weeks ago on the biggest wealth transfer in American history, and essentially it got 35,000 views, and a lot of people I think understand are like, well, you didn't talk about crypto, you didn't talk about this stuff. And I want to really cut all the BS. Let's really cut it all. It's going to be a giant disappointment for millennials and African Americans. Huge disappointment. Let me explain why. The boomer wealth transfer of $90 trillion is mostly land and real estate. Some businesses, but mostly land and real estate. And let me tell you why. If you go read Dr. Kimball's book, Put It Here, Peter, of a Black Choice, Wealth Choice book, the book and many studies show overwhelmingly African Americans have 80% of their wealth in either in a business or their house. That's it, a business or their house. And so when you hear repeatedly on the drum beat of don't buy a house, don't buy a home, don't sell grandma's house, that's where that comes from. We just had the fires in LA, and many people were upset because I did a video and I talked about how essentially if you're African American in some of those parts of California, this is your retirement. Even if you're white, this is your retirement. If you bought a house, they showed one lady 93 years old, Black little woman, 93 years old, bought a house with her husband in 1960 for $16,000. That house is now worth $3 million. Many, if not all, the African Americans in California that are millionaires on paper, it's paper wealth. It's via a house that's illiquid. It's via the land the house is on. So will their children, and honestly, if you look at the traditional intergenerational housing situation in California, many of those African Americans, their children live there, their grandchildren live there, their great grandchildren live with them. So they're not, even if they pass, selling that home doesn't make sense, because then now it throws them in a very expensive housing market to live in. Selling that home is really not an option. It's their one claim to wealth. It's their one marker that makes them millionaires on paper. Again, paper assets, paper wealth. It's not real till it's realized. What does that mean? It's not real until it's liquidated. Okay? Many of the boomers that y'all are seeking liquidation from, and again, let's clarify what is a boomer. There's two stages of boomers. The first generation of boomers are 70 to 79 years old. The second generation of boomers are 60 to 69 years old. And various groups of people, various boomers, are still actively working in the job market. They're not taking retirement at 62, not all of them. A lot of them are actively, fully, gainfully employed and trying to figure out how to not only help their millennial children, help their, or Gen X children, right? Which are 42 to 59. Gen X children, they're trying to figure out how to help their grandchildren. Between the expenses of inflation, medical bills, housing, property tax. Again, by the time those certain people's grandparents get to the end of life, they will not have any money left. All that is left is the house, and you won't even be able to live in that. You'll sell it to get access to the money, access to the funds. So the greatest wealth transfer is going to be a disappointment to many middle class and lower middle class people, because one, we don't know the definitions of our classes. Many of us are working class, and what does that mean? If you stop working in the next 2 weeks, are you going to be homeless? Then you're working class. I make a lot of people angry on this channel because I talk about the difference in home ownership and apartment. If you don't pay your rent in 21 days, you're going to be out of that house. You're going to be out of that place. They're going to be in process. Now, you may live in parts of California, New York, Midwest, Ohio, Detroit. You may stall it out for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but you're getting out there. Owning a home in this country, this America, it's going to take, on average, national data average studied for over the past 20 years, 3 years to get you out of your house. Even in 2008, it still took people almost 3 years. There are still people living in their homes 10 years, 11 years, 12 years after they were supposed to foreclose on their home. Countless articles where people are staying in the house multiple years. So in a 3-year window, can a person financially recover, make more money, get into a better financial situation, a better job, situations change, healthcare change? Of course. In 21 days, that's a hard turnaround. That is where you get the influx of Americans depending on credit. So no one can ever sell me on renting is better, renting is cheaper. This is a lie. This is a mathematical lie. One of the most terrible lies out there is if you look at the military had an old pension system where you got $1,000 to $3,000 a month till you died. So you're talking about, let's just go higher number, $36,000 every year until you died. Let's say you lived another 10 years. That was $360,000. Put that on screen, Peter. Let's say you live another 20 years. That's $720,000. Let's say you live another 30 years after you got retired out of the military in your 40s. Again, this number keeps climbing. But many people, and unfortunately many African American and Latino soldiers, were offered $35,000 to $50,000 lump sum payouts to leave the military early, retire early, and not take the traditional pension. There's no way on this earth where math makes sense. Over 10 years, you're going to make $360,000 and you take $30,000. Again, many of the boomers you guys are seeking to get money from, to get some type of inheritance from, they're taking reverse mortgages. We have a family member right now that we found out in lower Alabama, huge property, 10 acres, house, husband paid it off before he died. We're like, all right, what do we need to do? Is this person getting older in care? Come to find out she's had a reverse mortgage for the past 5 years. Her children are like, what do we do? And I go, listen, you either buy it back and you start giving her funds so she knows not to do this again. Again, sorry, moving here. Or we're losing massive amount of acres in a house that her husband worked hard to pay off. This comes from lack of financial literacy. And it's not the job of the government to force you to get literate. It's not the job of the government to make you learn in school. They've already been several court cases, if Peter can put it here, Detroit and Michigan, and also at New Jersey or Maryland, where they went to the Supreme Court level. And the Supreme Court said, you're right. It's not the teacher's job to teach your child how to read. It's not their job. And we've already established that No Child Left Behind, essentially, whenever there's no punishment for your child failing, and in the embarrassment of family and friends knowing my child failed, and then all hands get on deck, it's all emergency buttons, it's all family members saying, how can we get this child tutoring? How can we make sure they don't fail another grade? Something's wrong. Let's get them tested. When you take away that incentive, now we have a generation of kids, since George Bush Jr., thank him, pushed through No Child Left Behind, who have been continually passed through and are not literate. They have struggles reading, writing, math, and these people are being unleashed into society. So the hope that grandma, grandpa, and mom and dad will pass something on is really not there. It's very much a big problem. So the wealth transfer is going to be very disappointing to middle class and lower. Now you may say, well, Ericka, some of these big names, you can name off millions of rich people who are going to pass off stuff to their children, but the data still shows within 9 months of any given inheritance, whether they're a millionaire or they're $500 inheritance, it's spent in 9 months. It's gone in 9 months. So that's not the true wealth. Inheriting money that you're going to spend through in 9 months is not the true wealth. The true wealth transfer is land and housing. And the PSYOP, the government level PSYOP of convincing you shouldn't buy a home, and a home never pays off, and it's a anchor to your leg, and you have to keep repairing it and taking care of it. That's what wealth is. Wealth is something you take care of. We didn't let people who did not own land vote. In England, only land barons voted. Only people who own land voted. Why? Because they dictated how the country was going to move. Now, many people look at it as that's an unfair system. One man, one vote. Glad we're in America. But the truth remains, at the end of the day, the people who own the land make the rules. All right? Landlords will go pay lobbyists, and lobbyists will go make the rules. We'll go lobby on their behalf and help the rules be made. Right? people will vote financially with their feet. If you take people out of your state, California, New York, Ohio, Pittsburgh, who have wealth, right? Chicago lost 3,000 millionaires and then lost 100,000 to 200,000 wealthy upper class black families over the past decade. You leave your city and state with a brain drain, with non-owners who have no grounds, no incentive to check the government. In Texas, where people are getting all this home ownership, they're saying, here's my property taxes are this, my water bill, my lighting, all things that can be adjusted, all things that can be amended. You can get more insulation in your roof and your walls of your house, lower your bill, even in a hot place. They do this in Arizona. You can contest your property taxes by having a homestead as an exemption. And the reason people don't do that is because they're going back and forth between California, New York, North Carolina, Florida. You know, they got a house over here and a house over there, and they don't want to lock themselves into Texas. That's what's happening. And so what's happening, unfortunately, is the wealth that y'all think is going to be transferred, it's not going to you. Unless you are currently a landowner, your mom or dad is currently some type of landowner. And when I mean land, it can be a house on a trailer, whatever, on it. You don't have a stake in this conversation of wealth transfer. When we address that African Americans are financially struggling in this country, but people quick to say, no, I make 100,000, I make 90, I make 80, I make 70, I'm a nurse. If you do not own a house, if you do not own land, these wealth conversations ultimately are not for you. Why? Because paper wealth, okay? Paper wealth is, can you liquidate it? Can you touch it today? Is it tangible? Can you, and again, we have things called hard assets, real assets, liquid assets, paper assets. We can go in various definitions here on this channel for this video, but I'm trying to keep it a little concise and shorten the time period. But a lot of you are going to wake up very disappointed. Why is the Palisades fire and Eaton fire so bad? Because the people that lucked out and bought real estate and land in that part of California, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, for 16 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, and now on paper are worth 3, 4, 5 million, it's gone. They can get what they can sell the land for. They can get what they can sell the land for. And for those who have multiple generations in one house, the generational wealth has been wiped. It's been wiped. It's been wiped away. It's been wiped away. So I'm not saying that all African Americans don't make money and are broke, and that's none of what I'm saying. A job does not equal wealth. And so many times people come on here and they fight, and well, my dad or mom had a job for 40 years and they got a house and they got a car and they got this and they're doing all right. Yes, they own assets. We are in an asset-based society since 1971. When we got off the gold standard, it didn't matter how much I paid you. It mattered what you did with the money. And if you look at your parents, let's say they make $50K a year and they've been making it for the past 20 years. They've made $1 million. Let's say you know someone making $100K a year. In 10 years, they've made $1 million. Okay, for some of us who are in business and we're making $300,000 to $400,000 a year, in 3 years, every 3 years, we make $1 million. What do we have to show for it? That's why when I'm on here and people are like, well, what about stocks and what about crypto? I hear all that, but traditionally, do they have access to land? Part of the biggest thing our family in North Carolina did is have access to farmland, access to land. When people came back home, one of our grandparents' property, they had put a trailer out there. Well, the grandparent assigned the trailer to one person and another piece of land to another person. And some more land over here to some other family members. So when they passed, that one family member that got that trailer was so excited because she was a teacher. She could not afford a house. She was remarried, maybe 2-3 years later. Her and her husband lived there for a year, and then he went and bought them a new house, and she was able to turn around and turn that land into rental property. Other family members with other pieces of land, they've been able to build homes and duplexes on that land. That is the wealth. Having land that you can do multiple things with is the wealth. Over here in Austin, Texas, where I am, there's a neighborhood out towards Hutto, Pflugerville, and there are 5-acre lots over there. I inquired about them. They're $1 million. Now, maybe you say, well, I would never pay $1 million for 5 acres of land. You can turn that 5 acres of land into 20 homes. You can turn that 5 acres of land into 10, 15 duplexes. I mean, it depends on how you entitled the land, of course. But that land is worth so much more. Now, I can go an hour outside of town and get 5 acres for 10 grand. And now how I'm going to show you, which really would be closer to like 30, 40 grand, you know. There's 10 acres you can get for like 100 grand in some parts of Killeen. But the point of all that is the land has the value because it depends on what I do to it. That's the real wealth. And there's an every day and night campaign to advertise you to not buy a home, but yeah, buy more cars that depreciate and wreck. Buy more vacations, buy more stuff off Amazon, but never buy land. Right? I've told you. I've talked about tax liens on this channel for 10 years. Tax liens and tax deeds. The tax liens, tax deed auctions, they go all year long. But the majority of them go October, November, December. What is going on October, November, December? You're distracted. You're occupied. You're in the TV. You're in holiday mode. You're in Halloween mode in October. Scary movies. You're in November. You're in Thanksgiving mode. Thanksgiving and Christmas movies. In December, you're in Christmas mode. You're buying depreciating toys and stuff for your kids. You're not thinking of buying land. You're not thinking of buying tax liens. You're not thinking of buying dirt. But that's where the real wealth is. And so when you see Americans out here, my parents worked so hard for 40, 50 years of their life and they have nothing to show for it. No, they do. They have multiple cars, closet full of clothes they won't wear anymore, closet full of junk. And so people think, well, if we just make more money, we'll get there faster. Unless you add the component of buying wealth producing items, land, rentals, businesses, you will not get there faster. This is why there's wealth transfer. If someone is talking to you on the social media, talking about the wealth transfer, talking about stocks, talking about crypto, talking about anything other than real estate and a business. And again, we can flip it when it comes to net worth, over $700,000 for white Americans. 80% of their wealth is in stocks. It's in stocks, stock portfolios, and businesses. So again, we still keep going back to either who's the race of the person, and are they knowledgeable to put hundreds of thousands of dollars in the stock market and let it just sit for years. If they're not, okay, are they knowledgeable enough to buy 1 or 2 acres over here and then make a best use case of the land so that money gets put in their pocket? Are they a barber that will eventually own a salon and rent out all the chairs so that money's coming in their pocket, whether they're cutting hair or doing hair that day or not? When I teach in Digital Liberty Warriors, and we have a school group and we have course, what I'm teaching in there is how to create assets, one, that are digital and put money in your pocket every day, that reach out to people, teach people, provide a service to people. When AI came on board, and when many of the digital stuff happened to the computer in 2019, before COVID, but during COVID especially, it forced a little bit of entrepreneurship into a lot of people. The days of working one job where you got up there and now you're in there and they can't get rid of you. You got tenure, you're going to be there for 40 years. That's over. That's gone. That is not real. Okay? You will have to unlearn and learn new skills every couple of years, every 2 to 5 years. And that's how most people learn right now as we speak. They don't learn a new skill until they have to. They don't have to go retrain or get their certifications up or go do their continuing education as a realtor or a nurse or a doctor till they have to. Okay? He who invests the most wins, okay? That's the game right now at this point. So listen, Don't want to keep you here all day. I hope this was helpful. If you've enjoyed this commentary, drop 1 in the comments. If you thought this was a good follow-up to the biggest wealth transfer video, you can see that original video here. Peter put it right here. If you need help figuring out how to make more income, listen, you can join us at Digital Liberty Warriors on School, Middleman to Millions on School, or you can grab our top 40 quick certifications to change your 2025 ebook right here. Peter put it on the screen for us. Thank you so much. Listen, I don't want you to be delusional. I don't want you online talking about this wealth transfer that will not touch your family, that will not put money in your pocket, right? I don't want you mad at boomers, right, for wasting their wealth or wasting their earning years when this country was cheap. I don't want you mad at your mom. I don't want you mad at your grandma. I just want you to make the next best decision, because the next 5 years can be super impactful and life-changing for you and your family if you're willing to follow the correct steps to what? Build wealth. And I don't mean build wealth for your great-grandkids 100 years from now. I'm talking about true, legitimate things that put money in your pocket, help you design your life, not reacting to it, not reacting to the fire, not reacting to no money in the bank, no money in your 401k, not reacting to the job loss, but being proactive so that you're in a position to win in this country. There are people crawling across the desert, coming through the Texas border just to get into this country because it's pretty much set on easy mode. You're not going to go to Thailand and own a house. Your wife will, if you marry a wife over there. You're not going to go to other people's countries and own land. You're not going to go to China and own a house. Not happening. You're not going to go to other people's countries and own a house. It doesn't happen that way. But you can own a house in America. You can own investments in America. And we have a pretty robust rule of law that protects you. Okay, so hope this was helpful. Leave great comments. If you're watching this on replay, hit replay in the comments. Drop your city and state so we know where you're coming from. And thank you so much for being here. You guys have a wonderful, amazing day. Do you want to learn how to buy tax liens for less than $1,000 and get that immediate ROI return on your money? Come on over. Hop into the free training. Listen, my name is Ericka Williams, author of the Classy Climb blog. I'm a 6-figure YouTuber. Got $2 million in portfolio that I manage. But listen, I'm going to show you how you can get in to tax liens, sometimes for $400, $500, $1,000. Several of my students have immediately turned around and sold their properties, sold their vacant lots, and gotten their money 10x return. Look, don't take my word on it. Come on over, hop into the free training. No cost to you. Show you students, testimonials. Listen, I want you to get ahead this year, whether you work with me or not. But a lot of you are asking, how can I build my real estate portfolio? How can I make more money? How can I grow? But I only got a little bit of dough. Hey, let's get cracking. Let's work together. Hop into the free training and let me show you. It's your girl Ericka. Later.
Hi, my name is David W. Williams, and I'm the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world, Options Trading Academy. Now, you may be asking this question: why should you want to learn from me and the highest paid part-time job in the world, Options Trading Academy? That answer is going to be relatively simple. Over the past 4 years, we've helped hundreds of people get the life that they desire by showing them how to leverage the options market as an options trader. Now, one of the biggest things that we've done is we've shown people how to make more money to supplement their income. We've taught this to teachers, policemen, firemen, drivers, homemakers, and even a pharmacist. Another really important thing that we've been able to do for hundreds of people is show them how to get their time back. Many people have been able to homeschool their children. They've been able to spend more time with their family because they become successful options traders. You may be asking yourself, do I need to quit my job to learn how to trade? No, you do not. We do not specifically only teach day trading. We can teach you how to trade on a long time frame, on a short time frame, and we can also teach you how to make money when the market goes up and also when the market goes down. You may have this question: do I get support after the sale? Yes, you do. We have the #1 trading community called the Stock Market Sharks. You become a member of that community after you purchase the course. And the benefit of being a member of that community is you get access and you get to communicate with other traders, and it puts you in a position to become successful faster because of your access to the community. Now, our success is threefold. It's based on 3 very powerful elements. You're going to have the education, you're going to have the consistency, and you're going to have the community. And when you combine all of those together, it creates a very, very powerful combination that puts students in the best position to be successful. So what I want to encourage you to do is say yes to the VIP course Say yes to your future and purchase the VIP course today.
Listen, people are going to spend the next 4 years complaining about Donald Trump. I suggest you don't. I suggest you figure out what's your assignment. I suggest you figure out what are ways you can increase your income, because the country's changing. Many states are going to start having no state income tax because they're trying to entice seniors and retirees and young people to come to their state. Why? Because overall taxes are going to go up. That just is a given. Now, how can you fight that? You can fight that through business ownership, investment, or other types of ownership. I know the average person says, Ericka, I just don't want to be a landlord. It's too tedious. And I go, hey, paper assets may be your best friend. Coaching may be your best friend. Micro groups may be your best friend. Figure out where you're going to get in this process. I've actually been able to build 2 different brands, online e-commerce, putting products on Amazon. That would never be in my cards a couple years ago until recently, until I started reaching out and putting products on TikTok. I'm not a TikTok user. I don't go on TikTok like that, but I actually have products through my TikTok shop, and I also put those products on Amazon. Why did that happen? Because I realized the economy was changing. Things were changing. Things were growing. And people are going to spend the next 4 years being mad about Donald Trump instead of figuring out, how can I invest in stocks better? How can I invest for my retirement? How can I have properties other than just being a landlord if I don't want to do that? What are some paper opportunity investments that I can make? Not just crypto either. So listen, this is your girl Ericka from the Classy Glam Blog. Definitely check out more information at Digital Liberty Warriors. I'm out here on the beach with my family in a 30-bedroom beach house. Why? Because it's one of the best times for us to come together, plan, storm, and brainstorm what we're going to do for the next year, all the way to the next 4 years. Listen, you guys are going to see a lot of changes. Be prepared for them. Don't complain. Don't cry. Don't be upset about the president. Figure out what you're going to do to make your family healthy and strong in this economy.